This is Keyed In with Max and Brent, unlocking the minds of the industry's top real estate professionals. And now, here are your hosts, Max Rabin and Brent Jackson.
Hi, it's Joe Himali, and today I'm at the Keyed In broadcast with Max and Brent, and I'm very excited to be here.
Joe, welcome to the show. I'm your real host, Max Rabin.
And I am Brent Jackson.
Joe, we had to have you do the cold open because that's like my TikTok feed now is hi, it's Joe Himali. Hi, it's Joe Himali.
Yeah, it's funny. One of my, I have an intern, and she said, once we hit 500, you need to do 500 hi, it's Joe Himali's just as a video, and that's it.
Absolutely.
Nothing more, just one after another. So
it's funny. We were down in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and I had my son watching it because I'm not big on TikTok. I watch a little bit of it, but Max was mentioning your TikTok, so I got on there, and literally everyone starts the same way. And my son got onto it, so next morning he wakes up, "Hi, I'm Joe Himali. Hi, I'm Joe Himali."
I'm telling you.
So.
Well, just to give you the proper introduction, Joe Himali, you're a DC native.
Yes.
You're a realtor here in Washington, DC. You're with Arla Real Estate. You've been with several brokerages over the years. And you have a branding best address, which we'll ask you about also. And lately, seeing a lot of you on social media, you seem to have really taken TikTok by storm with a lot of your historical stuff that you do and your tours, and you're very knowledgeable. So we're just really happy to have you here as a guest.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here. I have to tell you, Max, the reason why I started doing TikTok was because I met you at an open house. I don't know, probably 6-7 months ago. No, must have been a year ago. And you told me that you were having great success on TikTok. I'm like, TikTok? Are you kidding me? Who the hell was on TikTok? I don't want to be dancing girls and me. That's the weirdest thing. And you said, no, it really works. And I was like, nah, that's not going to work. And then I have a 15-year-old child, and my kid said to me, Dad, you need to be on TikTok. No, I'm not going to be on TikTok. That's ridiculous. But my kid really thought what was going to happen is that I would go on TikTok, and then my kid could make fun of me with their friends. But it didn't work out that way, and now my kid is terribly embarrassed. So my kid,
because you're on his friend's feed,
yeah,
right,
yeah. So Cole is my kid's name. So Cole is now a counselor at summer camp. As part of the counselor at summer camp thing, they had to get fingerprinted for, security, background check. So they went to the police department and they said, "And who are you?" My name's Cole Himali. Himali? Are you related to the TikTok guy? And my kid's going, "What the hell, Dad? You have to stop this." But that's what happened. But you are one of the inspirations that started me on this, Max. So it's all your damn fault.
Hey, I mean, like I said, you've taken it by storm, and it's like a very, it's like a simple, straightforward approach, but it's your personality, because I know that you can tell from your TikToks that you're genuinely interested in what you're talking about.
Yes,
obviously, and that's what conveys in the whole video, and that's why it's popular. I know that's why it's popular.
Yeah, I've wondered. It's weird stuff. It's things that I just find interesting, and I started posting it, and
yeah,
it really. I mean, the other reason why I'm doing this is because I haven't. One of my team members is Carrie Murphy, and Carrie Murphy came in. She's a millennial. God help me, I'm a Gen X, so I'm like, and it comes in. It's like, you need to stop doing all that old-fashioned prospecting that you do, and you should be on social media. Social media is where it's at. I'm like, fuck social media. I'm not doing social media. That's just not me. I'm an old man. I don't have time for that nonsense. And for 3 years, we spent all this time doing all this money and spending all this effort on Instagram for nothing. I mean, literally 3 years of effort to get to 1,200 followers and no engagement and nothing. And then with my kid, my kid, and I was like, all right, I'll try it. And then I posted this video. I was on vacation in California, and I posted this video just because I was bored. Literally, I'm laying in bed, like, all right, I don't have anything to do. All right, why not? I'll just try this TikTok thing. So I posted this video, and it was about a house, a historic home. And I talked about a call button on the floor. And, it was called the next meal to come in in the dining room. And I posted it, and, I looked at 15 minutes later. It's like, oh, it's got 500 views. I'm like, wow, 500 views. That's awesome. And 15 comments, like, holy crap, that's amazing. I haven't got 500 views on anything. And then I put the phone down and went away. I came back an hour later, 3,000 views. Wow, that's amazing. And then half an hour later, 15,000 views. I'm like, what's going on here? And then an hour later, 30,000, 40,000, 100,000. I was like, oh my God. Well, the whole reason why it was there because I said, press the button and it calls the servant to bring in the next meal. I did not realize that you don't use the word servant because
too
buzzy and look, I'm fully aware of the fact that there's been a lot of racial issues in the United States and all this, and then all these people start saying you're talking about slavery, and I'm like, but the house was built in 1915, and yeah, that was a lesson. It ended up that was the first one that I ever had that went viral, and it went up to like 1.2 million views
because everyone was like, "This guy's racist." And
then I had all the other people from the other side coming on. You need to learn your history. White power, and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is not me. This is not me. Stop."
I know, no, but this is what happens when you enter the viral fray in like TikTok or Reels or whatever you're doing. Is they're all coming.
They're all coming, and I just made a video for literally I spent a grand total of like 45 seconds thinking about it. I really am not trying to get involved in that. So that was the first one that just really moved the dial.
So again, I'm not TikTok expert by any means, but at that point, how many followers did you have? And it's not the followers, right? It's the algorithm behind on how that gets pushed out and goes viral.
Well, when I posted that, I had like 350 followers, and by the end of the third day I had like 8,000. It was it just was completely at random. And that's the big difference, I think, between TikTok and Instagram, is that Instagram, if you're not already a celebrity, if you're not already like big, it's very hard to move in Instagram. But on TikTok, it's much more democratic. Organic. That's better because considering it's from communist China, it's probably democratic's not the right word, but much more organic, and it gives people that have no followers a chance, and if it clicks, it just goes up. So it's been interesting.
Well, obviously that's a big topic for us to talk about. And
sorry,
no. That's like should roll right along like that. But I want to like talk about you too, and like, take us from the beginning, get a little origin story, how you started in real estate, how long you've been in real estate. Go for it.
So I'm a native Washingtonian. I grew up here my whole life. Before I did real estate, I owned a toy store. I owned a store in Gaithersburg and one in DC. In the 90s, that did not end well because that was when the internet came along and basically wiped out little shops like mine, and everybody just ordered everything online. They're like, why would I buy from a store? I can buy directly from the wholesaler and cut you out completely. So that ended very badly. Mm-hmm. And then I was searching about for something that I could do that involved sales. And I looked at all sorts of things like pharmaceutical sales rep and these sorts of things. And then I really liked the idea of doing real estate. At the time I was married, and my now ex-wife said to me, we've gone through this terrible thing with the store and closing it. Now it's terrible. So I only have 2 requests in your next job. 1 is a steady salary, and 2, don't work weekends. And I'm like, I want to be a real estate agent.
Yeah,
and,
opposite.
Yeah, exactly. And to my ex-wife's credit, she supported me through that, and she was a very supportive person and helped me through it. And I'm grateful for that. And
but why real estate? So
because I like houses, and candidly, it's a very large transaction. It's very intimate for a period of time, but then it ends. That really appealed to me because I like working intensely with people, but I get bored easily. I guess, I'm like a mayfly, I just flutter off to the next thing. So if I can focus on somebody for 6-8 months and then I'm done and I can go to the next person, and it's a lot of variety. The other thing I really like about real estate is that it gives you an opportunity to do all sorts of different things. You can do marketing, you can do data analytics, you can do finance, you can do commercial, you can do all sorts
Apparently
of different things.
You can do viral media too.
You can do viral media too, absolutely. I will tell you, one of my favorite things was my first brokerage. It was Long and Foster, and I was there back in the 90s, the late 90s and early 2000s. And when I was there's this gentleman, and he was a deeply unappealing individual, just like a long curled over nails and greasy hair, and basically never bathed, and like that. And this guy's doing like millions and millions and millions in sales. I'm like, what the hell? And he said, well, I realized that a lot of transactions are through foreclosure. So all I do is foreclosure. And he basically stayed at home, did all of his work from his phone, called people, walked destroyed houses, didn't mind watching families get kicked out on the curb. I did one foreclosure where I watched the family get evicted. That was the most horrific thing I'd ever seen. I'm like, I will never do that again. And he was just like, nah, oh well, whatever. They have to move. And he just did incredibly well. But I was like, well, if that guy can make real estate money, and then you'd meet these other people that, persons, in the elite society who basically just goes to the country club, talks to people, and is like, oh, I just sold an $18 million home. And like, what did you do? I don't know. I met Bob, and Bob said I wanted to sell my home, so I just sold his home for him. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm out here just grinding.
Right.
And so you just see the spectrum of people, and that's what I find really appealing about real estate. So that's why I did real estate.
Very interesting.
So now at one point you had your own brokerage.
I did.
Right? When
yes.
at what time, like how long had you been in the business before you started your brokerage, and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I started Long and Foster, and I was there. It was a great company. I had a really good time. And then I went to Randall Hagner, which, rest in peace.
Right.
And I liked Hagner because it was more of a boutique-y kind of place, and high end, and it was lovely, and I loved their building. I mean, again,
I haven't thought of that. I haven't thought of them in a while. Like,
Yeah.
That's right. That was one of the old school.
Yeah,
companies.
1901 was when they opened. I mean, the only one that's left after them is H.A. Gill.
Mhm.
They're the old folks. They're in the 1800s is when they opened. But
What was their building that you liked?
it's now called the Mad Hatter. It's on Connecticut Avenue. It's just
Right
down
down
the
here.
street. It's like, I don't know, 2 blocks, 3 blocks down from here. It was this great, federal style. I think it was Beaux-Arts, I don't remember exactly, but a historic building. It was built for Randall Hagner to be a real estate brokerage, and they had this really cool key cabinet. It was like 5 feet tall, and you opened it with this old key, and it had all the hooks with the little places you could put the labels for the addresses of the homes you were selling. It was super cool.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed being there, but ultimately I just had the need to do it myself. I do things differently than most people, and so I was just like, oh, I really, really need to do it on my own. So I opened my company in, I don't even remember what year, 2004-ish, something like that. And it was a lot of fun. I did it with my ex-wife. She and I owned it together, and she did a lot of the marketing work. She was great at that. Spectacular marketer. She is a brilliant woman.
Some of the marketing pieces were by far the best I saw in the industry.
At that time, yeah, it was definitely,
I
you're
love
very,
the
very
pieces, so-
detailed. If I remember correctly, now that you're talking about this, you're like, I do things differently. You had signs in properties where
Yes.
so people would not miss the details of the properties they're walking through.
Yeah. And it was funny. I went on a listing appointment once, and I was competing with somebody, an old school agent, and I was the second person to interview, and first agent knew it was me, and the person said, one thing I want to tell you up front is I don't need any of those tacky signs that you put up in the house. And I was just like, wow, I know exactly. I could hear the words coming out of the other agent's mouth as they said that. Yeah. It's a funny little business. Everybody knows everybody in this business. So, but it's just funny to hear the words coming out of her mouth from the other person. But, yeah, and a lot of that was my ex-wife, and again, brilliant woman, and worked so hard with me. And obviously, I worked hard too. I'm doing the sales, and we were successful. We were at that firm for 13 years. We had that, and then ultimately, I ended up not being a great husband for my now ex-wife, and it was just not the right match for us, and we grew apart. She's a great mom, great person, but we're now divorced. And as part of the divorce, I just closed the brokerage because, trying to figure out how to divide it, it didn't make sense. And that's when I joined a spectacularly good firm called TTR. You guys may have heard of it.
Mhm.
It's
Yes,
a good
know it.
firm.
Yes.
And I loved being at TTR. Great group of people, great brand. Mark and Michael and Jonathan, great guys, as you know. And ultimately, I was recruited away by Justin and Jason over at Arla. So that's sort of my real estate trajectory.
So, okay, Arla Real Living at Home, right, is the acronym?
It's not actually that any longer
tell
because
us.
Arla was part of Real Living at Home, which was part of Berkshire Hathaway's.
Got
They
it.
closed that brand. So now it is Arla. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why I love working there. Jason and Justin negotiated a separate agreement with Berkshire Hathaway's that was different from everybody else's. And that's why they got to brand themselves as Arla, not Real Living at Home.
Okay.
When Berkshire Hathaway's did away with that brand, they became part of App Properties, which is based in Chicago. It's a tech firm. It has they have the platform and all the things that you have at a non-named competitor who's always bragging about their technology.
Sure.
So all those sorts of technology things are at Arla now. And but that's not why I joined them. I joined them because of Jason and Justin.
And Jason and Justin for our listeners.
Jason Sherman and Justin Levitch. Those are the broker owners of the firm, and they are brilliant. I just think they're brilliant, and they're hardworking, and they're creative, and they seek input from people, and it was just a fabulous match. And every time I come to them with a problem, they have creative solutions. And when I want to do weird things in real estate, like I want to getting into the weeds about real estate, like I have an assistant, and I want to bring an assistant in, but the problem is that I don't have health insurance, I don't have a pension, I don't have these things, but I've been able to work with Jason and Justin to hire the assistant through the brokerage so that they can have access to all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I reimburse the brokerage for it. I mean, some creative things like that. Then like, oh, I never thought of doing it that way. I didn't think of doing this. And it's just constant. And that's what really just drove me to them.
Yeah, it takes a lot of the back end headache. I mean, you're trying to go out and sell real estate and meet new clients and do your job every day, and all that other stuff you would never stop working if you really had to deal with all that.
Exactly. That's exactly true. And I'd also say that the best thing about working there is just everybody there is happy all the time. When you walk in there, it's like a smile factory. It's very strange. I've never worked at a brokerage where everybody is just so positive, and so it's been great.
How large is the brokerage?
It's about 425 agents at this point. It's a growing company, and I have to say that I'm deeply impressed that it continues to grow even with that terrible name. I mean, the name Arla is just terrible. It's a terrible name.
Well, I just always thought it was the acronym. So.
It is an acronym, but originally, but that you can grow with that name, that tells me that these guys have something going on.
Yeah, fair enough.
They're doing good. We were looking in our team meeting yesterday, like the top companies that sold for 21. And they were up there. I think they were in the top 10, which was surprising. Like Redfin, I think was like number 4 or 5, but
right.
Arla was in the top 10.
Yeah, no, and it's growing. It's growing rapidly, and they've got a lot of interesting things going on there. So it's a great firm. I've really liked it, and I was very pleased to be a part of it.
So for about 20 years, I mean, I've always known you as like best address guy.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have clients that have followed you, and because you kept the best address
brand?
So do you have people that know you as both or best address?
Honestly, clients generally don't care about the brand at all. They care about the agent. One of the things that was very nerve-wracking for me when I switched the first time from, Long and Foster to, Randall Hagner was, oh my God, what if one of my clients don't remember me and all this? And the clients are like, do you think it's better there? Yes. Okay. They don't question it. They really don't care. They care about you. And I think from an agent's point of view, when you make a decision about what brokerage you should go to, it's really a question of what are your values? Do your values match the values of the brokerage? And if they do, that's the brokerage you should go to. And if they don't, then that's probably not a place you're going to be happy. But your clients are going to work with you because it's you, not because of the brokerage you're in. I've never had somebody come to me and say, I was going to hire somebody else, but I realized that you worked at Best Address, so I'm going to hire you. It just doesn't happen that way. I mean, maybe I've always been at the wrong brokerage where somebody says, well, you work at XYZ real estate, so of course I'm going to hire you, but I just don't think that's going to happen. And then the other aspect of it is that there are some brokerages that have grown so rapidly that, what was a exclusive place to join, now everybody's at that brokerage. It's like, well, where's your I'm interviewing 6 agents all from the same brokerage. That doesn't make any sense. So to some degree, working in a brokerage that is not the biggest brokerage is helpful because it gives you an opportunity. If many of the brokers are at the big broker, they want to have an alternative to that company's
Sure.
style.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I will admit I find that frustrating to find out that I'm competing against another agent at our company.
Right. Yes,
and it happens a lot. We're a huge company,
right? Yes,
so,
yes,
and we're all like you said, it's a small town. We all know each other. We're all in the same
we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
And I've never understood that people pick up the oar and start hitting the other agents in the boat. You're like, dude, I'm going to, it doesn't make any sense.
Happened to me the other day, another agent in my company. And I heard some of the background conversation via I'm getting the listing, but it's I heard what the other agent said. And I was like, well, what?
Right.
Why would they say that? I didn't say anything about them.
Right.
I just said, I know them. Great agent.
Right.
Period.
Right.
And then I hear about, something back. But
my favorite thing to say is there's nothing wrong with hiring the second best agent in Washington. you can certainly do that.
Yeah, there you
You
go.
know?
I like it.
So,
That's a good line.
but one of Sherry Barton was an agent who used to work with me. She was an old timer. She passed away about 5 years ago. And she went on a listing appointment, and the other person said, well, I think I'm going to hire this other agent because I see their sign all over the place. And Sherry nodded. I understand. It's really a shame she just can't seem to sell those. And I was just like, wow, that was the most backhanded compliment I've ever seen. Yeah, she's really good. Just shame she can't get rid of those signs because she can't seem to sell them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's a good one. We're talking with Joe Himali today on the show. I guess let's get back a little bit to all the great stuff you're doing with your media. So you talked a little bit about your first viral video was a little bit like almost a mistake.
It was absolutely a mistake.
Right.
Yes.
So since then, you started using, let's just talk about, I guess, TikTok mainly. I guess, you're using TikTok, but you're also using Instagram.
Yes.
Are you using the same video content for both? How are you going about this?
Well, I'm using the same video content for both and also on YouTube Shorts. So I'm playing around on that too. But the reality is that I have, this was all such a surprise to me. I didn't spend any time thinking about it. There was no planning for this. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm trying to take a slightly more thoughtful approach to it. But at this time, everything is the same on both platforms. And it's just slightly different audiences. I mean, some people are on both, but many of the people are like, I would never go on Instagram. That's where all the old people are. Or I'd never go on TikTok because I don't want to see dancing girls, So, so it depends on, there's slightly different demographics there. But as time goes on, I expect that I'll do slightly different videos.
So you've been doing it for about 6 months now, you stated
Yes.
earlier. There's no plan, there's no script. You just wing it every...
Well, I've started, there have been a couple times where I've said things and people, the comments just blow up. I don't know if anybody's ever been on TikTok, but they are immediate and they are visceral. So they will come in like a 1,000-ton gorilla and tear you limb to limb if you say the wrong thing. So I've spent more time thinking through rather than just like blah 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 blah. So I do think about it a lot. Sometimes I have scripts and sometimes I don't. If it's something where I know it's going to be really, really detailed, I'll write down everything I'm going to say because you don't want to get it wrong. That's the other, I mean, like if you're off by a year, this house was built in 1902. Dumbass, it was built in 1903. And you're just like, oh, what? Okay. So after you have that happen to you 6 or 7 times, like, okay, let's get it right. And, honestly, I am a perfectionist and I'd rather get it exactly right. And I try my best. But, when you're talking about, it's 1,962 square feet and it's 1963, you're like, all right. So on those sorts of technical things, I've written scripts. But generally it's just me standing up and talking about it because most of these things I just know about anyway. So I can just talk about it.
All right. Well, 2 things. So one was talking about the comments on TikTok. So I get a lot of, like, they come in waves. Like for a while I'll get, mostly like just people talking about the property or whatever I'm talking about. And then occasionally they come at me with like, you look like name your Pixar character person. And so I feel compelled to reply, but I'm like, why am I giving any time to this?
Right.
I should reply to the people who are being earnest and the people who are excited to be looking at the content. But you always seem to focus on the negative stuff. And I think that's one of the reasons trolls exist. Yes. They like to get you going.
Yes, they do.
But I'm sure you have some trolls as well, like who are...
Yes, I have. I've told many people, there was one person who said, I'm the whitest man on TikTok. And I replied back on the whitest ? And, but then again, mayonnaise is too spicy for me. You know what I mean? So, you get used to it. And I think that a lot of times people have made really snarky or truly nasty comments to me. And I reply back and I will say, that really hurt my feelings. And I wish you wouldn't have said that. And I put the sad face emoji. And I'd say that easily 75% of the time people go, oh my God, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry. And you're just like, well, that's fine. I mean, I think that people don't realize there is an actual person. They think that, oh, Joe, he's just this celebrity, which, let's be honest, I have 73,000 followers on TikTok. It's not like I'm Kim Kardashian. You know what I mean? I'm just a dude trying to sell real estate. But
well, you appear you're popping up on people's like For You page in their feed, and they look down at that's how people look at it. They look down, they see how many likes it is, and they immediately assume this guy is like something.
They
and they can
assume
just
so.
like, you know,
They could just make this nasty, snarky comment. What I find interesting, what I really like about TikTok, though, is that as time has gone on, people will make a nasty comment, I'll respond back, and then other people that are my other followers will respond back, hey, if you don't like it, just leave, you know, which is really nice to see. It's a much more friendly, and when I first started, it was a lot of this, you know, I'm shocked at how much people care about what I wear, how much I weigh, you know, I mean, if you're like, dude, lose the belly. I'm like, okay, I'm working on it. You know what I mean? I like food. What am I going to say? You know, wrong tie, you know, your shoes shouldn't be those shoes. And like, I'm a dude and this is what I'm getting. I cannot imagine what it's like for women. I just cannot imagine, you know, if I'm getting this, as like a middle-aged white dude, I cannot imagine what women go through. But just the sheer number of comments about, I've had people ask where I get my suits and what kind of glasses, and I'm just like, really? I'm talking about, you know, this really cool feature in a house, and you want to know where I get my hair cut? It's bizarre.
it just proves it, yeah, how people really are on there, and they're really they're focused on this app. They're taking it all in.
They are. It's surprising. It's shocking.
So are you answering all these comments?
Not all. I try to respond to all of them. I really do. I just can't. There's just too many, you know. And that's one of the things. When I first started, I responded to literally every single comment. Every comment I responded back to. But I can't keep up. It's just too much. So I do try to make sure that I respond back when I can, but it's hard.
Do you have a team that helps you as far as like the editing of that, or even like responding to the comments? Max, a question for you too, but it's like, I'm always let someone else do it. Like you posted, it's all about you, but you could have a minion, so to speak, behind the screen, you know, responding to all these comments in a very nice, polite manner.
I don't have anybody respond to comments because it's me, and I'm not. Again, I'm quite certain if I were to send a message to Kim Kardashian and got a response, it would not be Kim who sat around and like, oh, I'm gonna Joe Himali, my God, you know, that's not going to be the case. So I try to respond to comments myself, and to some degree, I'd rather not respond than have somebody else respond for me because I have a different approach to most conversations than most people. I don't get offended. You know, I mean, people say nasty things like, whatever. And I found that people that work with me are like, well, I'm going to defend you and I'm going to tell them they're an asshole. And I'm like, no, don't worry about it. You're not going to change them. But I do have somebody, I actually hired an intern to help me shoot the videos and edit them and post them because they don't allow you can't schedule postings. You have to post when you post. And you know, it's just, I have other things to do and I don't know when my schedule is going to be. So, you know, at 3:00 in the afternoon, which is about when I generally post, you know, I may be on an appointment and I want to have more consistency. So I did hire somebody and her name's Nadia and she's wonderful. She's, you know, 22 years old, right out of college and, you know, just lives and breathes like a fish in the water. You know, she doesn't even see what she's doing because she's just like, oh, you just do it this way. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't even know what you're doing. She suggested I do a TikTok live. I'd never done that before. She's like, oh, everybody does that. I'm like, I don't know anything about that. You know,
yeah, but that's true. If you do that, it's really great for engagement. Consistency doing that. I know it's more time out of your day to sit there and like just read through what's going on, what people are talking about,
right?
Or just speak off the top of your head off whatever you're doing,
right?
But yeah, it's pretty engaging on that platform.
It is, and it's been strange. So that's the short answer to your question is, yeah, I did hire somebody, but they don't respond to things. They don't actually speak on the camera. They give me suggestions of things that, you know, as she's walked along, she's like, did you notice this? I'm like, yeah, I did notice that, but who cares? Everybody knows about that. A perfect example, I did a video about the Washington Monument. And I sort of offhandedly said, well, you know, the Washington Monument's 2 kinds of stone. Everybody knows that. She's like, no, most people don't realize the Washington Monument was built in 2 segments and the history behind it. Like, who doesn't know that? Everybody knows that. So I did a video on that and it did very well because it's just stuff that I just walk by because I just know it.
Well, so you're going to pick up, this is another question I have, is you're picking up people who are going to see the videos who are visiting DC. They're going to see this information about the city that they're visiting and they're going to engage with you. And you recently started doing walking tours.
Yeah.
So how did that go? And like, who are the people coming to do the walking tours? I'm sure, is it a mix of our, you know, local neighbors and also tourists, or how is that?
Well, I've only done one. It was this past Saturday, so I can't really give you a whole lot of background on it.
Okay.
But, you know, one of the big things that I've really been doing is the process for it was I've been doing a lot of these videos and it's all remote. Joe stands here and the people watch from a distance. And lots of people say, oh, I really enjoy your content. I'd like to, talk to you about stuff. And I thought, what can I do that would connect us? And I'm not a party kind of guy. It's like the idea for me to go to a bar and have a happy hour, I'd rather put a bullet in my head than do that. So, it's really, what can I do where I can sort of still do my little Joe Himali shtick and people would actually want to be there. And I met Carolyn from DC Design Tours, who's awesome. Her tours are spectacular. I went on one of her tours and I thought, oh, wow, she's really good. If I could do like a half as well as she does, that would be really cool. So I thought I'd do a walking tour myself. So I did one of Calorama, and the people that came were mostly locals, people that had been watching me on TikTok. But it really surprised me because I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. I don't want to have, one person show up. It's like, here's my single person on a walking tour, which if that had happened, that would have been fine. It'd be fine. And then I was like, but wait a minute. If I have that many followers, what happens if like 300 people show up? What would that do? I mean, I can't be like,
you need a police escort.
Right, exactly. So I put it at 20 people and that was it, so that I would limit the number of people and my embarrassment if it goes terribly wrong. And it went really well.
That's genius though, Joe. Just say, if you announce it on your TikTok and say this is limited to 20 people, you're guaranteed to sell out, right?
I guess so. I didn't really thought about that way. It was really more just about saving myself from too much embarrassment.
People are like, oh my God, I got to get on this Joe Himali tour.
Well, I mean, it was done in 30 minutes. I posted it, and 30 minutes later, people were like, why can't I log in? Why can't I get on the tour? I'm like, shit, this is going to be a problem. So I just was humbled by the fact that so many people wanted to do it. It was a lot of fun. And but that was the origin of it. And the people that were there were almost all locals. There was one couple that came here because their daughter lives here and they were thinking about buying here, and their daughter told them about the tour, so they came up so they could meet me and do the walkthrough and see if they liked me.
So the 20 people you got, they're captured in some database, and you're going to follow up with them?
I will, yeah. We've got all their email addresses, and so I will follow up with them. I have followed up with most of them, and a lot of them have reposted about I asked them to repost about the walking tour, so a lot of them have done that, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's why I'm doing it.
Curious if you had a contingency plan, because it's been very hot lately. If it got to like 110, or if it was a torrential downpour, did you have a contingency plan?
No, because I didn't think of that. I mean, honestly,
it's the middle of summer in DC.
Well,
when I saw your post, I was like, oh my God.
Well, it was funny because I didn't think about that at all. I don't spend lots of time thinking things through, apparently, because a lot of people are like, didn't you think of this? Didn't you do that? And I'm like, no, I just did it. I mean, it's the same thing with my social media. I just like, all right, I'm just gonna post. What's the worst that'll happen? I'll be, nobody will look at it. It's my thinking. I didn't think the opposite would be the reality. The other thing is that when I first posted, like, we'll be meeting at this location, and then I got a whole bunch of people call me like, that's fine, I'll just show up anyway. I know you had a limit. I'm like, oh. And then my assistant said, why the hell did you put the address for where we're starting, you idiot? And I'm like, oh, didn't think of that, because. And then on the other hand, my girlfriend said to me, that'd be awesome. It'd be like a party. That's good. Why are you upset about that? I'm like, oh, that's another way of looking at it. But from her point of view, if 300 people showed up, she said that'd be great. It'd be like a little festival. And yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I just have been lucky in life and things have worked out. So
it sounds great. So, I mean, it sounds like obviously a work in process, but at the first turnout was good, and your followers are still going up. You're probably going to be successful with that if that's something you want to do. Was that a for-profit thing?
No, I did it for free. I mean, I specifically did it for free because I'm like, what if this is a total disaster? Mm-hmm. What if I go there and everybody's like, that guy's an idiot? And,
why I waste my...
Why I wasted my, I spent $20 for this clown to sit around and do, and I was just like, all right, you know what? Let's just make it free. But at the end, really the point of it is, as I said to them, look, I did this for free, but I'm a real estate agent, so referrals, please. This is what this is about. It's to meet people and to get business. That's what it's here for.
I got to be totally honest. We talk to how many realtors in here, and it's always like, well, we have like a party for the neighborhood, or pick up the junk day. That's, what you do all these things.
Do that, yes.
You do all these things. But this walking tour thing, it suits him well, obviously. And then he's a realtor. And he can just talk about the things that he understands and knows, and it's something that you're comfortable with, that you enjoy, Versus, like you were saying, if you invite a bunch of people to a happy hour, the whole time you just be like, I cannot wait for this to be over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And honestly, the walking tour was an hour and a half, and at the end, I'm like, oh, I could keep talking for you. When I first did the first walkthrough, my assistant's like, "Are you sure you're gonna be able to talk for that long about Calorama?" I'm like, "Yeah, and that's not a problem." He said, "Well, let's do a walkthrough. Let's just see." So we walked around, and after like 2.5 hours, she's like, "Okay, you can stop talking. You need to like scale that back." But I mean, you guys know it. You can walk down the buildings. You can tell stories about every building as you walk down. Like, well, that's a rental, and that building is total crap. And this one, that's beautiful, but it was gutted in 1972, and they've taken out all the details. And then, the Dresden. I know you know the Dresden well, so it's like the Dresden. I mean, it looks beautiful on the outside. The units, I mean,
You do know the real estate, obviously.
right.
If anyone would, it would be you.
Yeah. So that's what you do. I just walked along and talked about the buildings, and so yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You ever had any pushback? Because I've seen some of your TikToks where, like, similar to Max, like you go into an agent's property, and I think there was one I remember. It was like, I think that there was a leak or water coming down. I'm not sure if that was yours or not, but it's like, have you had an agent call you out like, "Hey, what the hell? You're on my property and you're putting it on TikTok"?
Well, I will say, and again, this was one of these lessons learned. I did a video that, again, I did not think was going to do anything. This was very early. It was probably the second week I was doing this, and I did a video of a house that's in Shaw. And it had a dining room that was advertised, which is a pull-up, flip-up table connected to the kitchen wall. And to be in the dining room, you had to sit on the staircase because it was a tiny little house. So one of the idea was the staircase was your chair. It's like, are you shitting me?
What?
And then upstairs, you went into the shower. They had the air conditioning vent in the shower in the floor. And I'm like,
Come on.
you can't make this shit up. So I just walked in there and I shot the video. I'm like, so I want to show you some features of this $890,000 home. Here's the dining room. Look, all you do is sit on the stair as your chair. And then you go upstairs and here's this beautiful bathroom with the added feature of a ventilation shaft in the shower, which will allow water to drain down into it. And that was my video. So I didn't want to say these people are fucking idiots. I did not say that, which is what I wanted to say. But I just did it flat. And the number of people that wrote back, are you saying those are really good things? And then once people caught on what I was really saying, I got a lot of comments. Then it got reposted.
Oh yeah.
And then once
Did you get on Washingtonian probs with that?
did.
Yeah,
I did. And that was, oh my God. So like 10,000 views of this video. And I was just like, oh my God. And then about 3 weeks later, I get a call from the owner of the house. I just wanted to give you a call and say that I saw your video. And I want you to know that it sold for above list price despite your video. But I did think it was funny. And I was just like, whoo,
Wow.
that was
yeah.
pure luck. So ever since then, I've made it two things about that. One, I don't really like being snarky. That's not really my thing. I don't like being a snarky dick. It's just, I don't like that. I don't like people that are snarky to me. I don't want to be snarky to other people. So I'd rather not be that. And so what I really tried to do is after that video, which was a snarky video, I really have tried to make sure my videos are positive. When I go into a house, I want to find the good things. And when I walk in, I shot another video just recently, and I shot this video. This house was a disaster. You open the foyer, there's the washer dryer in the foyer, not a closet. Like, you open the foyer door, washer dryer. And then you go into the room and you look out the window and it's into a construction site. And it's like, what? And I wrote this and I did the whole video and I was just like, look at this terrible house. And I thought, who wants to, I know people like to watch that, but that's not who I am. And I don't want to be that guy that's running around making snarky comments. So after that, I've just decided the videos are positive or I'm not going to post them. If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. And so I haven't had any pushback since then. And that guy was right. I shouldn't have made such a snarky little, it was funny. It was funny at the time, but when you reflect back on it, you're like, I don't want to be the bully in school. It was funny to be the bully and you pull the kid's hair and you make them cry. Oh, that was funny at the moment. And then you look back and I'm like, why are you such an asshole? I don't want to be an asshole. I don't want to be that person. I want to be somebody that brings positive and happiness in the world, not negative, snarky comments.
If the goal is to make like snarky comedy, then that's your goal. But if your goal is to continue doing your job, which is selling houses,
right?
The video's worthless, right?
Yes.
So I'm the same way. Like I went to a couple houses when I first started doing it, and I was like, this house is ridiculous. Like the staircase was like whatever. I just remember like doing some of these videos with like the music was snarky, everything was snarky, and they got views, and I'm lucky I got no pushback on them. But when I thought about it again, when I go to a house and I don't think it's gonna create good content. It's not. There's no video. Like,
right.
That's all. like I'll wait for something where I'm actually interested in it. And I think or if it's an opportunity, like if it's a fixer upper or something, of course it might not look beautiful like some of our sizzle reel stuff,
Right.
but it's an opportunity. So there's something to show here.
Exactly. I did a video about a house in LaDroit Park that was basically a shell.
Yeah, I saw that one.
And when I did that video, the number of people that made comments, you can make a terrible place sound magnificent. I'm like, but it does have a lot of cool historic details in it. And yes, it's run down, and yes, it needs to be renovated, but it's going to be a pretty special place when it's done. And so I haven't gotten pushback on it, but I think that's because I was very lucky that I did not, and really I should have gotten more pushback on that in a negative way. But after that, I've decided the other thing is that, a lot of videos you watch a lot on TikTok and Instagram, and it's like red flags. And I'm tired of watching red flag videos. I would rather do a green flags. When I go into a home, these are the things that I want to see, not avoid this house at all costs. I hate that. I'd rather say, this is the house you're looking for. You want the house that has this. You want the house that has that. You want the house that has the other. And I just think that's a more positive and a better experience. And lastly, I'll say, I think there's so much negativity and so much snark in the world, and God knows the politics, the environment, the world's on fire, everything's coming to a disaster, the economy, blah, blah, blah. And like, you know what? Why don't I just have a little place somewhere in the world where it's just somebody's happy and talking about nice things? That's what I really want it to be. And even so, I get these people, let's go, Brandon. I'm like, or Trump should be hanged. And like, what is wrong with you? I'm talking about real estate. I'm just talking about a dumb waiter in a house. I don't need this. So I just delete those comments. It's like, I don't need that. I don't want that. I just want to have a happy place where everybody can get along, no matter what your beliefs are. Let's just have a little place where you can learn about history in DC.
Well, I think that's the probably in a nutshell appeal of what your account is that it's like, Joe is a nice guy. He's showing us some interesting and weird stuff. And what else could we say?
You're very knowledgeable too. That's the other thing.
Obviously.
There's a lot of agents out there, but your knowledge base is very vast because like it's a co-op in Kalorama or something over in Shaw up in Chevy Chase down to the Washington Monument. Like you have a very vast knowledge base of everything in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. So question about that. Do you just know all this stuff yourself? Are you doing extra research? Do you have someone else doing research for you? Because there's a lot of stuff in here that is not off the top of most people's heads.
I've learned that I have a different kind of brain than most people. Like I'll meet people and they go, what are your kids? I'll talk to my girlfriend. She'll remember, it's Bob and Jane are 3 kids, Fred, David, and Tom. And I'm like, I don't know. They have kids. I like them. They're great, but that's just not where my brain is. But if you tell me, one of my assistants, had her tonsils taken out, and I said, but was going to go on a vacation next week. I'm like, oh, you're going to fly out? And she's like, no, you can't fly for 3 weeks after you've had your tonsils out because they don't allow that. Like, I will remember that fact for the rest of my life. There's no way I'll forget that. If you tell me, the Washington Monument was built in 2 segments, and the reason why is the political intrigue, I don't know why my brain just retains that. So I just retain those things. Those things are interesting to me, and I love that sort of weird esoteric stuff. So most of this stuff I just know. I do have my assistant fact check it to make sure I don't have things off by, it was Thomas Jefferson who said this. And I was like, no, dude, that was George Washington. Like, oh yeah, it's founding fathers, it's the same thing,
Right.
But so I'll know the facts and I will have it 90% right, but I just want to make sure that last 10% is right. And that was the lesson learned early in the thing where I would say something and I'd have it 90% right. And then that last 10% would just make so much trouble. But for me, I love this stuff. I go on walking tours myself. I read books. I watch videos. This is what I do. It's what I enjoy.
Have you been able to quantify TikTok success? Like you've gotten 3 sales, 4 sales?
Well, I don't have a closed sale yet, but I have, a signed buyer agency agreement from it, and they're going to spend 1.2 million, so it's not bad. And then I've gone on listing appointments. But I also think, and I've gotten lots of calls from people. I just met with a new buyer yesterday, and, he and his husband are going to be buying a place in, the next 6 months or so. We haven't signed buyer agency, but he's like, okay, I'm going to work with you, but I just haven't gotten that far yet. But this has only been 6 months, and so to a large degree, my horizon on this is really like 18 months out. If 18 months I really get what I think I'm going to get, it's going to be incredibly powerful, which, honestly.
I think I know for a fact that it already is. It's just they're out there, they're watching. It's just a matter of time. Right? That's all I can say. That's all
I
can
hope
say.
so. Yeah. But I also think there's I mean, the reality is I talk about this stuff anyway. I think the person that's happiest about it probably is my kid, because I stopped talking to my kid about all these weird random things as we drive down the street. I'm like, hey, did you know blah, 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 blah. I'm like, it's like, oh my God, would you please stop talking about it? Now my kid's response is, shoot a TikTok, don't tell me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need to hear about blah, blah. Just shut up and drive. That's the joy of a 15-year-old. But you know, the other thing that's really valuable about it is I get to know all the agents. I walk into places now and there are agents that I don't know, and they're like, oh, I know exactly who you are. It's like, it makes things easier. And as you know, so much of this business is, you know, knowing agents. It's, you know, if you get 3 offers and it's multiples and then 2 of them are the same, and one of the person, you know, knows they're competent, and the other one, you're like, I never heard of this guy, I don't know who they are. Why are you going to work with the person you never heard of and that you don't know if they're competent or not? So
Exactly.
that's one of the reasons.
Do you have an origin story for the "Hi, I'm Joe Himali"?
Oh, 2 things. One, that, and yes and no. But the other is I smile at the end of every one of my videos, and I did not even know I did that. I had no idea. But the number of comments I got, like, stop with that weird smile at the end. So many people made that comment when I first started. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And then I'd shoot the next video, and I'd shoot the violent video, and at the end I smile, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to lean into it. This is who I am. I smile. That's the way it is.
Okay, just side story too with the smiling. So we're, you know, shooting video in here, and we use clips of this on Instagram. And we had some really nice clips from a couple of our shows recently, so I'm putting them on TikTok as well. And the comments I get, someone was just like, "Yo, bro, stop smiling like that." And but they didn't write like that. They wrote, "Yo, bro, stop smiling that." Like they didn't even write like.
Right.
So now around my house, that is now just a running joke. Stop smiling that.
Wow.
And all I can say is like, here I am.
Here I am. It's
You
just,
know?
it's who I am.
Right.
But you're pretty serious about it though, because like even the way that we're set up here, like you have a side. Like there's a few people in this world that has a side. So it's like you have to be there because if his smile is like a certain way. Like I'm like one of the few that's like I don't care how I look or where I'm at. Yeah.
I don't care. It's just I am who I am.
I would like to be from. There's like 2 specific angles only.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, you're dead sexy from any angle. It's
Thank you
totally
so much.
fine. But so the hi, I'm Joe Himali. So two reasons why I started doing that. I did that because why am I doing this? Nobody knows who the hell I am, you know. And so I started just saying that because it's just like, okay, I should probably tell people who I am. And then once I started doing that, it was very consistent. And it was interesting because I was watching, my kid showed me a video. There's this woman, and I forget, I'm embarrassed to say, I don't remember her handle, but she washes gravestones. And that's her whole TikTok thing. She goes to a gravestone, and as she washes it, she tells the story of the person who died. That's it. And she shoots these 50-second videos as she washes a gravestone, and you watch from beginning to end. And my kid was watching it, and my kid said, my favorite part about it is she shows up, she shows it unclean, she shows the steps of it cleaning, she shows it clean, and she says this at the end. And I forget what the tagline is. That's what I like. And I was watching a video with her, and my kid said, this is the most dissatisfying video. She didn't finish it right. And then she started another. She didn't start it right. When I watch this video, I expect it to go a certain way. And when it's not, I feel dissatisfied. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I talked to other people, and they're like, there's a certain order in which they do it. And if you don't do it, it's sort of like a sneeze where you're like, I'm not going to sneeze. And you're like, damn it. You know, I just wanted to sneeze. And it's the same thing. So the consistency has been there because that's what people expect. They expect me to say, hi, I'm Joe Himali. I'm at this place at this time talking about this thing. That's what they
Even
want.
the arm, it's like you.
I can't help it. I mean, I spent time thinking about it. I'm like, okay, maybe I should go to like one of these classes and learn how to actually do this properly.
No way.
It's very good.
And then the other thing, I mean, one person said, is there something wrong? Do you have palsy? Can you not use your left arm? I'm like, I don't know, man. I just
Yo, bro, why are you standing like that?
Right? No, I get that all the time. I get that all the time. You know, it's Joe when he kicks his little leg out like that. I'm like, I don't know, man. It's just who I am. But, you know, again, I am who I am, you know, and I've just decided, fuck it, I'm going to be who I am. And
There you go.
that's it. So,
Well,
yeah. So that's where the hi, I'm Joe Himali comes from. And that's why it's so consistent.
well, thank you for being who you are.
Well,
And thank you for coming on the show today. We're like filling up a lot of time, and we could probably keep going. It's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of funny. But it's just been great having you, and thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all this with us.
It's my pleasure.
It's been very fun.
Yeah, definitely.
You're hilarious.
I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah.
No, I can't believe it's already time, because I feel like we just started talking.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brent's going to hit you with the rapid fire.
All right.
Rapid 5. Are you binge watching anything right now?
No, I'm not. I think the last thing that I probably binged watched was House on Apple TV, which is about weird houses all over the world. It's really a cool series. I love it.
Favorite vacation spot?
Probably Santa Barbara, and going down to Lucky's restaurant there, which is in Mendocino. I love that area.
What's the last live concert you've been to?
I went to see Woman in Red at Black Cat.
I don't, you know that?
No.
Yeah, you're not a lesbian, so yeah, my kid is totally into Woman in Red.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like to have coffee with Obama or Oprah?
I love Oprah. I think that'd be spectacular. But the opportunity to talk to Obama, I would not pass that up for anything. I mean, the idea of spending an hour with him would be spectacular.
So outside of TikTok and family, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do for fun?
I work. Work is just fun for me. But my other thing is I build Legos. I build Lego houses.
Interesting.
So at some point I'll have my little video background where all my Lego houses are built in the background. So when I do my little videos at home, it'll just be all the Lego houses behind me. But yeah, that's what I do for fun.
Did you watch Lego Masters, that show?
I have watched it. I don't like I prefer just doing houses. I like to think about the architecture, and I think about the brick and the layout, and whether or not I should do it in Flemish bond or running bond as I build the houses and stuff like that.
So you're building houses from scratch, not going to what's it, the architectural series?
I have the architectural series and I build all those, but then I just build things on my own that look terrible, but I just enjoy fussing around with it. But
interesting.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. And we also always donate to the charity of our guest choice. Do you have someone you want to give a shout out to? I think it would be great to do it to one of the historic complexes in DC. There's L'Enfant Trust is doing, it was one of my favorite organizations, and L'Enfant Trust is doing a renovation project in the historic district in Anacostia for a house called the Big Green. And that building is going to be for low-income housing. It's really cool. So that would be the place that I would donate to. They're a fabulous group. Sounds great. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for listening to Keyed In with your hosts, Max and Brent, unlocking the minds of the industry's top real estate professionals. For more information on selling your home, find us online at KeyedInPodcast.com. Remember to subscribe to Keyed In on Apple Podcasts or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Keyed In Podcast, at Rabin Max, and at Brent E. Jackson. And follow Max on TikTok at MaxwellRabin_properties.